What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in, Will Fix It Team. All right, today we're going to put a radiator in a 2012 Chevrolet Cruze. I'm going to walk you through a couple of the things that we're going to do. Watch this real quick. So I'm going to pull the front wheels off, just because I'm going to take the bumper off. So there'll be some screws I got to take off here. There'll be some stuff that I got to take off here. The headlights will be easily removed if necessary, but the radiator's back in here. We're going to pull the whole thing out as an assembly with the fin, and got some stuff I got to take loose at the bottom. So stick around while we do this real quick. What we're going to look at right quick is just it's gonna be hard to, my light, this thing is so bright it just blinds my poor camera. But you can see the dampness running down the radiator. It even left a little puddle right there on the floor there. And I've got a housing I've got to change as well. Got a T20. I'm gonna pull these. Now there, the whole thing's turning. Same thing there. All right, we'll have to work with that. Not much you can really do. Sometimes these things are a victim of being kind of hit from the side, and it breaks these little holders loose. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just have to work with it. And then I've got a few other. I gotta go underneath the bottom here. We're gonna. Looks like we've got some just across the front here. We're gonna pull this piece down, so I know I'll be taking out all of these. Where are we at? Just going around and just removing all these little torques, and then I'll come along and pull these little keeper clips out, like well, there's supposed to be one right here, but there's one here. I'll replace that one here, and then that holds the front part of the bottom of the bumper, top part, and then we'll unsnap. Okay, so we can get a really good look now. You can actually see the water where it's dripped off of the corner. This is where the top hose goes in at, and I'll explain that in just a second. But we've got most of this down. I had to pull that back and just unclip the fog light and that little sensor that they had plugged in. Same thing over there. Check this out. So I've got these out, which I've still got to take these fasteners across the top off, but you're gonna kind of just pull right here, and you've got to be real gentle, and that'll come out of there. And you don't want to break these, so just kind of be gentle. You got to use you hold your mouth right. But the reason why you'll see a lot of the times the radiator fail on the top hose side, so the water comes out of the top. And for some odd reason, they make it go in midways on the radiator, which makes this thing a little bit of a pain to bleed. But that's where all the heat comes off of the engine. And all that heat hits the radiator on that side first, and that's why that side typically fails. Okay, so we've removed all the little fasteners that we talked about. And I was very ginger on just pulling this out right here across there. So now we can, I think the bumper's going to come off. All of it one piece here. Got a little bit more holding on over here. But like I say, real careful, real ginger. And we've got a park light. So take this one. I think I may have one on the other side as well. Yeah. We can easily get to it right now. So just pull that off of there. And there's one other sensor. Sometimes you can't see them all. We'll get that pull back and unsnap from there. Have a clip. We'll pick here on this. Get that off there. So now we'll just set this somewhere. I got some cardboard behind us over here. I'm gonna set it on. Now let's get a look at what we got going on here. So what we've got now is access to a lot more of the front of the vehicle, and we've got this plastic thing across the top that I think, I'll be honest with you, I haven't put a radiator in one of these, so we're doing this together. Get this thing out of the way. Get this AC condenser. Yeah, is that what they call this thing? Anyways, the thing for the AC. We'll pull that off, and we're not going to discharge anything. I'm just going to carefully suspend it with a floor jack and some other stuff so it can kind of be like chilling and hanging out here. But it looks like, no, the bumper, this bumper guard or the piece behind it does not come off. So that, yeah, doing this together. So let me get some of this taken off here, some of this out of the way, pull this plastic piece off and to see what it looks like underneath here. We'll go from there. Oh, and by the way, I use a flathead screwdriver on this end and that side, and I push the middle up, then I get a pair of dikes. These right here are what I'll use after I can get underneath it, and I'll pop those up carefully. We'll see what happens. Ooh, I don't know if y'all can hear in the background, but the person with their riding lawnmower is hitting some hard stuff over there. Mill down a few stumps with the old John Deere. I've got a few other little fasteners. One's across the front here, which is the, get these out of my hands. Don't lose them. Get these out. And then go in here with the front of my, get this off. Show you what I just taken off here. I'm trying my best to get the camera around. It was that bolt there, which was part of this, and then same thing on that side right there. Sorry for the glare. Sitting on top of the engine. Just what you're sitting on top of an Ecotec 1.4 liter turbocharged. That can give multiple facets of problems. There's a few more of these across the front. I'm just going to take off. Got some stuff kind of suspended in here. We'll have to hold her facing the proper position in order to get some of it out. Oh, okay, we'll take this off too. All right, it's everywhere. What I'm pulling off is there's this breather tube thing here. It goes to the air box. I just snapped it off the front, just really easily. Let me see here. We'll get this thing. This is probably a better angle. With the floor jack in the way. Yeah. Okay. That comes off, and we'll just set this over here with the bumper. The bumper. Hardware right there. These in there, so. Again, we'll see a little bit more of what's happening. I think this right here will come unsnapped, I think. At some point. There we go. This will go over here with the bumper. Alrighty. Now we've got some more air guard things right here off the front. I'll lay this one to the left and that one to the right. My pants are falling down. I'm doing the opposite, excuse me, of well, no, wait a minute. Wait, I'm not doing, I am. My pants are sagging, but I'm not wearing skinny jeans. It's weird when they do that. I don't, you know, usually your pants would sag because they didn't fit properly. I guess when they're so skinny, you can't get them up high enough. I don't know. That's weird. got to stop the camera because on a day like the 4th of July, I'm the only shop open, so you get a bunch of scragglies coming in. Customers that don't want anything, just want to shoot the breeze and not spend any money. I'll be right back. All right, so let me show you where we're at now. I've got some stuff where we can see it. What we have here is the AC thingy that goes in the front. We'll just keep it simple. And this is where heat is developed, and once the Freon is compressed, and you want to dissipate a lot of that heat so that you have an even better cooling process whenever the Freon is released into the evaporator core under the dash. You wouldn't even need this right here for you to have a difference in temperature, just because AC Freon will just dissipate when it's released off of pressure. But if it's already cooler before it comes to be released, it's that much cooler, so this makes the system more run efficient, because anytime you compress anything, if you compress anything, a liquid, a solid, a gas, it will generate heat. You start making molecules excited, they start bouncing around when you put things under pressure. Air that we breathe, if you compress it, it gets hot. And there's a reason for why you have an intercooler, because of that. In between this, good example of compressing a fluid and getting it hot is a power steering pump, or power steering fluid coolant, or cooler, I guess you would call it. Power steering fluid runs through this thing here. And I'm giving you a lot of explanations on what is what, so you can be really, really smart at the lunch table. But this thing that you see in line with the power steering lines is a thermatically controlled device that allows fluid to flow outside of this. It'll circulate fluid amongst itself until it gets to a certain temperature, and then there's a plunger inside there that's activated by heat and a spring, like a thermostat for a car, and then will allow a certain amount of fluid to run through this cooler here and keep the operating temperature of power steering fluid at a certain level, which actually can aid in the length of how long something lasts. So now we know that. Now the intercooler that's behind here, we'll have to get that off as well. And the reason why you have an intercooler is because your turbocharger is compressing air atmospherically higher than what's going into the engine, and it happens at such a high rate of speed, even though it's only 10 or 12 psi, maybe. It's still it's enough compression that's taking place to where on the pressure side, which is going into the engine over here, you'll see that the tube goes into the engine. They have a thing in front of this thing, like a radiator, called an intercooler, which takes a lot of the heat away from the air once it's compressed on the intake side of the engine, so that whenever when that goes into the engine, that cooler air is denser. When you heat air up, it expands, which means the 10 cubic feet of air will only have 10 molecules in it at 90 degrees versus 30 molecules of usable air that's burnable at 50 degrees. Okay, let me show you what I've done next. Check this out. I was able to get this to come up, but there was a harness that went across the back side that, like, super bright light here. You can see that little clip there and that little clip there, and there was also a sensor on the left, that sensor there, and there's another one over there. And basically I was able to get all that taken loose without damaging it, because I used a small little pick. I used this little thing right here. I was able to go into the holes into the front here and get on both sides of these little clips right here, so I didn't mess those up. Now I could put that wire back. It took a little extra time, but it's worth it because you don't have flopping wire everywhere. So we'll move this, get this up out of the way, and you kind of see what we're looking at now. And I also had to remove the little holders for the radiator right here. I took those, but they're still on the radiator right there on that one side. I got the other one off, but anyhow, that's just some of the hardware that held it on. And we'll just lay this just over here, and here's bolts and stuff that held it on. I threaded the bolts back in that held the hood latch, and disconnected the sensor on it. Now we've got to remember, when we go back with this, we got to put that back in that hole. We forget, we're going to have to backtrack to get that back on. So it goes in the hole, and this piece right here is ready to come up out of here, and I've got it laid up right there, but I'm not going to leave. I'm going to take something. I'm going to tie that thing off somehow up here to the hood so that it's not just dangling and flops back on and scratches my headlight up. We'll get that off, and then I'll move this out of the way, and then we'll see if we can get to the I don't necessarily have to take the intercooler off in the vehicle. I can remove it once I get the radiator on the floor. So we'll see how that goes, but I do need to get this AC heat exchanger off the front. Yep. I can get this to go through. Yeah. Probably not long enough. We'll need to do. We'll try it and see. That's okay. We'll put an addition on it. Okay. Kind of suspended out of my way now. Yeah. I haven't drained any of the coolant out yet. I figured I would work my way to that because of the drain plug's kind of hard to get to. Got a little cool, we got a sensor for the AC right there. I'll get that on. Now, it's going to sit about like that. Remember I said earlier I use a floor jack or a jack stand. And that's what I'll use. I'll get one up. It'll be okay to hang there for a second. But I don't want to just leave it there. So take a little bit of the weight off of it. I put a jack stand that's kind of like under there to hold it. Give it a little prop there. Now we've got a sensor on the side of the radiator over here. I'm gonna plug it, and we're gonna just pull a harness, just get it up out of here. Get that right there out of the way. And then we've got a. It looks like I could lift that thing out of there once I do so. We'll get this quick connect. Better yet, I think I'll take the air hose first and blow. Let me get the camera. We'll take the air hose and we'll blow some of that gook and gop away, and then we'll pull that little clip that's blurry. That stupid camera. All right, we didn't totally drop that. We're gonna pull that clip. It doesn't get in focus at all. Let me see if I can get my finger. It's just clip right here at the top. I'm gonna get it off. Just pull it down and it snaps down and out of the way. I'll get the whole thing off of there, then that pipe will slide off. But I want to blow that dirt and everything off of there first. I don't want to get that in there. So let me take the air hose and blow there. And same thing over here. Clean that off as best we can so we don't get any into the turbo or in the engine. Then lift the intercooler out of there. And then that means our radiator can come forward a little bit and we can start dealing with some other crazy stuff that got hooked to it. Get ready. A couple lines are just kind of chilling right there. Let me get a screwdriver. I'll pop those off on this little bracket. Okay, push pin right there, or a quick connect or whatever you want to call it. We'll push that in. Okay, we got the intercooler just about out. Okay, so the next thing I've got this little thing and that little wire harness that goes down, and it's pushed into the front cover of this radiator fan assembly. I'm just going to use a super long pair of needle nose pliers that I have here, and you can find these anywhere. Not in my tool stash though. Nope, not using my tools. Then we're just, my plan is to not break anything, so really I want to try to get just enough ahead of it so I can get my side cutters around it. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to not break anything. I've got to look at it. These things are real brittle, and I want to be careful. I don't want to be here all day. either. So we got that one out to come out all right. We'll do the same with the others down in the hole, which I need both hands to do. And I'll use it also, I'll probably get my super long flathead screwdriver just to give you an idea of what and that really works well for getting into little places and getting stuff loose. That one went well. It did. Let's say getting in behind it is where you want to be at, and just there we go. That one came out really well. Got one more at the top here. That one came out well. Now we're getting somewhere. It's just a lot of little things you got to take off. We got that all out of the way, and I think that's it. The plug-in for the fans out of the way. By the way, this piece right here on the top, not only is it a fan relay, but it's the speed controller. It uses a pulse width modulation to control the speed of the fan. You get power off of your two big wires. You got a ground and a reference voltage. I'm sorry, a breadth voltage and a ground from the ECM, and the ground is what actually pulses a square wave pulse to tell the speed controller how fast to make the fan go, because it can go from slow to fast, and it can go in an infinite place in between. You've listened to these things when they spool up, you can tell that there's not clicking high, medium, and low. It's something like turning the volume up, and they're using pulse width modulation. Same thing when it comes to LED lights and regulating how much light they put off. Yep. Okay, so now we gotta get some. I think I could pull this radiator forward just a little bit, but I want to get the coolant drained out of it now that I got everything out of the way, and I can finally get to the stuff to get the coolant drained out. I think this thing has a petcock on the bottom of it. I'll show you where it's at. Follow me down. There is the radiator drain right there. R. Kelly'd be like, ooh. That's right, R. Kelly reference. We'll let that drain down. It's lunchtime anyway, so we're going to let that drain down while we're going to lunch so it's not dripping on our heads, and then we'll get the hose off that connects over here. And then we've got a hose that's up here in the middle ways that's bright. It's connected up here, and then we've got a transmission oil cooler line at the top over here, and I've got another one somewhere else there at the bottom. We'll get those two off, and the radiator will be ready to come out of here. But let's grab us something to eat so we don't want to pass out here. All right, guys. Alrighty, so like a clip for this hose here, we're just gonna reach up in here like this and try to unsnap it. So I'm just getting underneath it there and trying to I've got to push up on it. Same thing on the other side. We'll just release that metal clip, then that hose will slide off of there. So to get to this, get this clamp off of here, or this, I'm sorry, quick disconnect. It's going to be hard to do with the camera and everything in the hole right here, but I'm going to take my pick right here and I'm going to get on this side of that. Of course, it always not get on the side of that right there and push it and flick it out of the way. I don't know if I can almost do it with this camera in the way, but I'm going to get both hands in there and flick that little spring out of the way. The new radiator will come with all that, but this will make it really easy to get these lines out. I've got another one down here at the bottom as well. moving this tube a little bit, it's like right there. You can see my right there. We'll do the same thing to both of those. And I told you a fib. That's part of the transmission cooler. It's got one going into the radiator, but then that's an auxiliary cooler. But that is a thermatically controlled. This thing on the bottom right here. That actually keeps the it just like a thermostat. It'll change the flow as the heat, if that fluid temperature heats up, because they use the same thing on Ford F-150s. I took one apart one time to see what was in it. Figured it out. Wow, here we are now. Got the radiator out. Check it out. Phones are ringing. We're going to answer that real quick. But there's what it looks like without the radiator. There's the radiator with the fan assembly. We will end up swapping some stuff around on the floor and putting it back in and put it back together. Here we go. Okay, so that was the parts people calling and telling me that my radiator will be in at 4:30 today instead of lunchtime. Like it was kind of... Oh, I should do videos on just what happens with parts people and just how wonky everything's got when it comes to doing stuff. So this is 4th of July, Monday, 2023. So I'm gonna take tomorrow and Wednesday off. So I'm gonna go ahead and load up this video now. So if anybody's wanting to get the radiator out of their car, you know, if this is something they need to do real quick, this will be how you seen what I went through to get it out. And it's doable. It just takes a little time. And I'll do a video next week putting it back together. Let me just show you again one other thing. Something I'm going to replace, and usually they keep these sensors in stock because they are problematic, but this is a coolant temperature sensor over here on the side. I have got a new one I'm going to put into the radiator that'll be coming in, and we'll just swap this fan assembly over to the new radiator. So that's already in. We'll set everything back in as an assembly, and we'll just reverse the procedure of putting it back together. Start with your lines. The new ones will already have the clips are in it, so you just have to put a little bit of transmission fluid on your surface right here so you don't dry lip your seal. And you'll just snap these in very carefully. I used a long pair of needle nose pliers. Then you just reconnect your hoses, start sliding everything back in reverse order. Of course, I'll even do it. Whoops, I take something back out, stick something in. It happens, no big deal. But just take your time, and I hope this helps somebody. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate the support in watching these videos. Just as a great thing, you're really doing a lot to help, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So y'all, please like, subscribe, and share this stuff. And man, have a good week ahead. Thank you very much for tuning in to Will Fix It Team.